Welcome back to the GHT Overland Podcast, where we visit with overland travelers around the globe, sharing their stories and their experiences with you. This is part 2 of our interview with Bernd, a Bodensee Overlander. We're picking back up with Bernd detailing his tips for border crossings, along with more stories and experience from their overland travels, starting in Germany to India and now in Canada.
I can't wait to hear what happened with them being tracked with a GPS tracker.
Did it make any noise?
I don't think it peeped along the way, no.
Or just sent out like a flash of light, like I'm still here.
Okay, let's jump back in where we left off.
Yeah, one door by door, open the one, let him look there. Afterwards, close that door and then open the next one, because otherwise sometimes more than 5 officers are roaming around the car and trying to open things and trying to access things. And one put a ladder to my car to get on the roof rack and whatever. So you just need to have control of that. I guess the craziest border crossing for us was Turkmenistan, because the first thing we got was a state-owned GPS device, so they could track us wherever we are.
Oh, interesting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That was also the only country where we got observed while we were in their capital.
Okay, that's a first. I haven't heard that before. That's awesome. Okay, very good. So,
yeah, it was fun for us.
So when you go through that process, I think what I really want for our listeners as well is advice like that, which is really good. But I think a lot of people go into that with a lot of stress or trepidation. What's your best advice to make sure that you stay calm, you're not paying bribes, and that it can actually be done?
It can be done. I guess there are a couple of border crossings where it's difficult to avoid bribes. Because they're just reluctant and don't let you in if you don't pay. That's, for example, between Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan on a border pass on 4,200 meters. What I would do is I would always go in the morning, not in the afternoon, because if things take longer, you don't get stressed that you need to find a campsite or whatever. Always go in the morning. We did it once in the evening. It was a bad decision. Know that things take time. That's also one of the most important things what we've learned in China. It will be shit to get into the country. It takes time, maybe 1 or 2 days to get the car into, and it took 2 days to get the car in the country. Just know it could always be worse, and then you're good to go.
Okay, and just be patient.
Patient, yeah.
Okay, do you guys travel with any animals?
Not yet.
Okay.
My wife will and wants to get and will get a dog, either here in Canada or the US. So we will get a dog as a travel companion.
Yeah, that would be really nice. And you don't have a motorcycle? Do you travel with bikes or anything?
No, we just have a Land Rover.
Gotcha. Any specific safety planning you do, or tips you can provide our listeners on safety and security as overlanders?
First of all, we use the information of our foreign ministry to get at least a glimpse on how the situation looks like. They are usually very pessimistic, but you can read out what the worst areas are, at least. In certain countries. And for example, countries like Iran, yes, there are areas which are dangerous, but it's only a little piece of the country.
Okay.
So that you always should remember of. If there is a conflict between two countries, it usually doesn't affect both whole countries. Mostly just the borderline and a couple of kilometers. Just as a reminder. But then listen to the local police. That's what we did, especially when we were driving 3 days straight along the Afghanistan border. There are checkpoints if the situations could be more difficult. ask the police how it looks like today, and they will give you an answer. And they usually don't let you in if it's not secure.
Okay, and communication with them with language differences, how does that work for you?
Yeah, not always very good.
Okay.
It is helpful sometimes because you just can play the dumb if you have done something wrong and they want to give you a fine.
Okay.
But if you really want to get information, like Taliban, everybody understands that. And if you just show them the way you want to drive with the hands and ask for Taliban, they will show you with hands if it's good to go or not.
Okay.
So you need to find ways, but hand and foot communication works quite well.
Okay. So I'm assuming you do not carry any weapons or anything like that with you. Is that right?
We have an axe.
Okay.
Which is used for wood most of the time.
Sure.
But there was one occasion in India where we put it for easier access.
Okay.
Like that's, but no, like traveling with guns, especially in those regions, makes no sense. Like you have so many borders to cross, you have so many, like countries where if you have a gun, you're in really, really big trouble.
Okay.
So no, that makes no sense.
Gotcha. What are some tips you have for safe money management? And with the money management, also currency changes from one area to the next area.
Yeah. That's also kind of inform yourself in advance. Before you cross a country, try to find out recent information in the internet about is it better to change money in the country I am now or in the next one? Especially if you drive down from Germany to India, there is Iran, where you don't find any ATMs which allow credit cards because of the problems with the US, and so they cannot accept Visa and MasterCard and whatsoever. So they don't have credit card and whatever. So you need to have cash with you, and the same applies basically for Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan, where visas are allowed or possible, but like the exchange rate is so bad, so you need to go to the black market. So what we had for the whole trip $2,500 in multiple locations in our car, usually just taped to the backside of one of the boxes, for example. So just to have spare cash for these areas. Now that's different here in Canada. I didn't use a single dollar, I guess.
Okay.
So far.
Do either of you work on the road?
Kind of. I run a blog. It does not make our living. Not at all. It's like the 100 euros if we're good in the month. In addition, or like dollars in a month. But that's it. I work a lot to document the trip, to also document or to write guides how to drive through those countries. But I don't earn money with it. I know when I come back home, I can either start my old business and earn good money, or we'll start our own more Overlander focused business. We're still in discussion there. Either that, or also we're going to help other people on finding the right gear, because we saw so many people on low budget cars, like really low budget, like buying a car for $3,000, putting in stuff for $1,000, and they also made it to India. Just a little bit different, just like so you need to help those people to really find out, do they want this off-road capacity really hardly, and do they want to go in every country into the hardest areas, or if they just want to explore the country, but not want to drive every hard trail they can find.
Okay. In navigation and communication, how do you make sure you know where you are and you're not getting lost? Do you use paper maps or a GPS? What's your setup?
We have for every country one paper map. We thought to have it with us because it's easier to talk to locals and to let them show something on the map.
Okay.
Which didn't work at all.
Oh, interesting. Oops.
They were taking a look at the maps and were always like completely confused.
Okay.
But like it helps us to find like a rough route for the next 2 weeks, like the areas we want to visit, maybe. But for navigation on the trip, we mostly use Maps.me.
Okay.
We have an iPad. We have Maps.me on it, and we have an external GPS like receiver, and that works really good, especially in big cities. Sometimes we lose signal.
Okay.
That's difficult. And in addition, we have the app Pocket Earth. It has like a line for each 10 meters of height. So a topographic map. And that is incredibly helpful in the middle of nowhere if you want to find a good place for camping, because you find the flat spots very easily.
Okay, and it sounds like you stay pretty flexible with your planned route. Is that right? Are you doing things one day at a time, or do you try and go longer lengths in pre-planning where you're going to go?
Yeah, like I said, for example, for Newfoundland, Labrador, we definitely go up there. In Labrador, there's only one way. We just don't know how long it will take us. That'll be flexible. And if we find places where we can take a right or a left because somebody says it to us, we don't want to say like, but we have a plan and we need to stick to the plan. Like we have ideas, but we change that on a daily basis. For example, we were really focusing on driving to the Palmier Highway, which is incredible. But like a couple of days before, we met a British couple, and they said we should go to the Fun Mountains in Tajikistan.
Okay.
And so we skipped all our Palmier plans and just went to the Fun Mountains first, and then we saw, okay, it's still time for Palmier. Let's go then. Just be flexible. Don't skip things because you have a plan.
Okay, and those mountains, I heard you say Fun Mountains, like F-U-N, fun?
Fun. F-A-N-N.
F-A-N-N, okay.
Yeah.
And then do you have a backup plan if you guys get stuck to call for help? Do you have a communication setup of any kind?
Yeah, we have the Spot satellite messenger. It's I don't know if you have heard of it. It's kind of like a satellite phone without phone.
Yep.
Yeah, just a couple of buttons for security. We mostly use it to just tell our family we're okay and that they can track us. It's more for their feelings than for our safety, I would say.
That's good, though. That's very good. Then tell us about other communications. Do you use I assume a cell phone? Are you getting a SIM card as you go along, or how have you found that works best?
On the way east, there was only one country where we were not able to get a SIM card, and that was India, just like because everything is complicated there. But like in every other country, we found a SIM card. In Armenia, for example, you paid 7 cents per day for unlimited internet.
Wow.
So it's, you don't ask too much.
I wouldn't ask any questions either.
Go with it.
That's a big deal for us now in Canada. It's seriously too expensive for us to buy a SIM card. With data plan in the data which is accessible outside of the big cities here. So we will stick to Starbucks, McDonald's and Co. here. Yeah. And that's what we've done in the first countries in Europe as well.
Okay.
Like we had always the coffee, Wi-Fi, toilet
perfect
hours in a day where we just visited a random coffee place, chilled out, used the internet, and used the toilet there.
Yeah, I can imagine it's pretty expensive there as Well, as in America, it's crazy expensive. So vehicle maintenance and repair, what was your pre-trip planning so that you were confident in your vehicle before you guys took off?
That's my biggest fear is always the vehicle. I'm an IT guy, and I don't know. It's not my world. But nevertheless, I learned a lot in the last couple of years. So I have a full box of tools with me, and I have also some spare parts with me, like the wheel bearings, the joints for the prop shaft. So it's some like really important things, or like the seals of the brake calipers, I think it's called. Like all those little things who could cause you to stop, but like it's not a big effort to have them with you.
Okay.
What is broken now? Our fuel tank. So we obviously don't have that. But these are things you just need to take care on the road.
So how do you plan for those remote repairs?
There's no plan.
Okay.
Like sometimes shit happens, and like one time I was in the middle of a Pakistani mountain road, and the tie rod was bended completely because of an emergency brake, and like the big trucks were rolling by. It was not a lot of space, and I needed to build out the tie rod and to get it straight again. Things you cannot plan in advance. There's normal maintenance. We plan that as best as we can. So we have a couple of filters with us, like air filters, fuel filters, and oil filters. And we do that mostly by ourselves. We buy oil somewhere where we can find it, and we do it at a place where we can dump the old oil safely.
Okay. Any specific tools that you carry or spare parts besides what you mentioned?
Like specific tools for the Land Rover is a specific nut for the prop shaft, because that's in inches, not in centimeters. And there is the 52 millimeter nut for the wheel bearings. Because on a trip like this, you can be sure that you either need to adjust them or replace them at a certain point of time. And we needed to adjust them every now and then just to make them tighten them again. And therefore you need the 52 millimeter nut. That's important. Everything else is just normal toolkit.
Okay. And do you guys carry one spare tire or two?
One full tire, and like two tires, but like one full wheel.
Okay. And do you have like a tire repair kit if you get a flat?
Yes.
Is that your first option?
Yes, that's also one of the most important things you should have with you.
Yeah.
That works excellent. We have a small compressor with us and the tire repair kit, and that's best.
So let's go through real quick some onboard necessities. How much fuel do you carry, and how long does it, or how far does that take it?
Okay, we have, let me calculate. We have 120 liters of diesel in the two main tanks, and then two jerry cans. Now only one. We got rid of one. So it's 140 liters, which brings us 1,300 kilometers. And that's more than enough.
And do you have a way to calculate how far you're going to be able to go on how much fuel you've got left?
We have noted down like all the fuel we needed, and how far we got. And we did some serious off-roading and some mountains and high altitudes and whatever. And the average is always 10 and a half liters on 100 kilometers. So that's what I calculate with. If it goes to the desert, I usually calculate with 15 just to be on the safe side. But more it does not use.
Okay. And how much water are you able to carry?
We have also that in jerry cans, and we got rid of one, so it's 65 right now. 65 liters of water. Okay.
And do you have any sort of system set up for purification if needed?
we have a filter from Katadin, but not built in, just to pump manually. And honestly, we don't do that too much. Like we had most of the time in our trip the chance to take it just from a clean water source out of the mountains. And we have like these silver tablets from Katadin, micropore.
Okay.
Tablets and fluid we pour into to get rid of the bacteria. That's it.
Perfect. And the name of the filter, can you spell that for me?
It's Katadyn, Katadyn.
Okay. And do you guys use a generator, or do you have solar power, I believe?
We have two solar panels, each 100 watt powers. And that goes straight to 2 batteries. And like those 2 batteries are used for starting the car and having everything else running. Like we don't have these separating systems and all that. We just put them straight together. It was too complicated for me to build it like the other way, and because I didn't understand what like the consequences are. So I just put them straight together, and that works perfectly.
Do you know any details on the batteries you use, like how many amp hours you've got?
It's 55 amp hours each.
On each one?
Yeah.
Okay. And any separate heater or AC that you've got?
Yeah, we don't have AC. There was a workshop in Turkey, and they asked us if we want to have AC because we're driving to Turkey, and we said no. That's also something we regret. Oh. But we have a diesel heater, Ebersprecher. Like one of the typical diesel heaters, like it takes diesel, it just heats up the air, not the motor, not the engine.
Okay.
And we have an additional height kit in there, like an altitude kit for higher altitudes, where it reduces adapts the mixing between like air and diesel. Like if you're going in high altitudes.
And the diesel heater you've got, is that piped into your diesel tank, or is it a separate tank you have to have?
No, it's the same tank.
So something that's important to us is giving back and doing our part to help others along our path. Any philanthropy, giving back, or inspiring others that you focus on during your trips?
Not really, because we're just driving to learn, to understand the world now, and then we'll see what we do with it.
Very good. Any advice or thoughts that you've got as you've traveled, opportunities for other overlanders to get involved maybe with some of the smaller community and villages?
I think the biggest issues, like we cannot change like right away. Like it's all about education and respect. Like respect to other animals and people, and education. And that's what we should teach others. And that's just by showing them how it works. Respect your wife, respect your dog, respect the animals around you, or the people around you, and try to leave them, like try to educate as much as you can.
Very good. I love it.
So let's wrap it up with some fun facts about you.
Any hobbies you enjoy as you're traveling?
Hobbies. Like I'm the driver. And that's kind of a hobby, full-time hobby.
I can imagine.
Because I'm a really, really, really bad co-driver. And that's why my wife is usually sitting next to me and is taking care of the driver. That's her hobby.
So what keeps your co-driver occupied along those long drives? Like
she's taking care of her nails sometimes.
This is important.
That's important. She just enjoys to watch around or to look around. And I promised her that I will be a quiet and nice co-driver in Canada again. I was not able to be that in Pakistan, India, Iran, or whatever. It was just too wild. And I like to destroy my car by myself.
Nice. Do you play any musical instruments or sing in the road or around the campfire at night?
I sing a lot while driving. My wife doesn't enjoy that at all.
Okay.
But that's something she she married me. That's her fault.
Claudia.
Yeah, poor Claudia. Sometimes, yeah. No, I plan to buy a guitar, but so it didn't happen so far.
Okay. And what is a favorite drink in the morning to get you going?
Actually, that's a good one. We had this typical Italian espresso machine with us where you could boil your coffee in the morning, but my wife doesn't drink coffee, so I was always doing that for myself, and I was too lazy to do that. So in Greece, we have learned if you put ice into a coffee, you can call it frappé. And then it's just a cold coffee, and you call it frappé, and it tastes good. And since then, I just do that.
I love it.
And that's easy and good to go. Yeah, just pour water on Nescafe and call it frappé, and it's okay.
Awesome. And at night to wind down, after a long day on the road, a favorite drink?
Beer.
German beer, I assume.
One good beer in the evening is a good thing. That also will be that's also in Canada a big issue because beer is incredibly expensive here. So maybe it will be tea from now on.
Very good.
So I'm curious, how much does your beer cost back home?
A can of beer, 60 cents.
Oh, okay.
Compared to Canada,
cents.
What would that be?
Yeah, I don't know. I just had one beer in one of the taverns here, and it was $7.50, $7 Canadian dollar and 50 cents.
Yep.
That was my first and my last beer so far in Canada, so I need to find out the prices at the liquor store.
Imagine. Yeah.
So what is your best advice for aspiring overlanders like us?
It's basically work, save money, quit the jobs, and go and repeat. That's something we've learned. We will this will not be the last time we did it.
And how can people learn more about you and see what you're doing?
We have a Facebook page and Instagram page. It's all under the name of Bodensee Overlander. Bodenssee and then Overlander. And also a website, which is unfortunately only in German. But if you have any questions, just let us know. We're happy to answer everything.
Perfect. Any more information you'd like to give or useful resources that our listeners should check out?
Especially if you plan to travel to Central Asia, there's one other good website which is called Caravanistan.com. That's a big bulletin board where you also can find lots of current information about countries like Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, all the stans. I think that's a good advice. That helped me out a lot.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much for your time. We are grateful and humbled that you've given us such an amazing look into your world, your experiences and knowledge. So safe travels to you. Give our best to Claudia, and we hope our overlanding paths cross again sometime.
I hope so. You're in Washington, right? We definitely will come by there.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a place to stay when you come through.
Awesome. Thanks.
And if there's a German beer, we'll buy you one.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Very good. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys for having me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And that's a wrap. Each week we are so humbled by the experiences and just the friendliness of overlanders around the world. We hope you're enjoying the stories and experiences of overlanders as they share their travel tips with all of us.
Be sure to visit the show notes page on our website at ghtOverland.com. Click on podcasts, select the Bodensee Overlanders episode, All the details and helpful links mentioned throughout our interview with Bernd are there for you.
Be sure to send your feedback to ghteoverlandpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to know how you listen to each episode. Is it Alexa, play the GHT Overland podcast? Or what's your app of choice? And in other news, if you're in the Pacific Northwest, or can make it to the Pacific Northwest, fire up your engines. The Northwest Overland Rally is June 28th through July 1st. And we are going to be there. So we're pretty excited. Stop by our booth, say hi. We'd love to meet you.
Now, before you race off, it would mean the world to us if you'd share the podcast with a friend or two. Then click some gold stars for a nice rate and review. Give GHT Overland some love so we can reach as many Overlanders as possible. Passing on priceless experiences, knowledge, and stories of Overlanders doing good in the world.
So what's up next Thursday?
We have Overland the Americas joining us, talking with Ernesto and Thaisa, who just completed their overland trip through the Americas.
I'm still trying to figure out how to break down our conversation with them into 2 30-minute episodes. That's going to be a tough one. It was a really great talk we had. They share a lot of really great information, and looking forward to sharing that with you.
Remember, give us a little podcast love by sharing the GHT Overland podcast with a friend or two. Bye.